leave it now. All right.
Okay, trying to see. I'm trying to switch camera. Okay. Choose the volume. I need to go on.
Mrs. Rhoda. Then, so these are No. Would you ever go to the food? Mommy. Third big. Fica strong. Física usa isso. Física
They've not started. I'm not hearing anything.
What's
It's past 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Hello, madam, your video is on, please. You may like to turn it up.
Okay. Here's my video. Carolyn, I don't even know where my video is.
If you touch the screen at the
Okay.
base there, okay.
Okay. Okay, I have. Okay. So can I start? A very good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mrs. Erica. Good to have you here. And good morning to all our
Good morning to
parents.
you,
Good
everyone.
morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning, and we're glad to have you here. Welcome to this series of seminars. We're grateful to have you grace this event. We know how busy everyone is, and to wrap up the session, we decided to put this up to keep our parents abreast with relevant trends that as regards our children. So first of all, kindly mute yourself, everyone. Kindly mute yourself so we can hear the speakers when they come up. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. This is priceless to us that you could take our time. We have over 58 participants already, and we're making good progress. And before we kick off, I would like us to take an opening prayer. I don't know if Mrs. Coco is there. Mrs. Coco, are you there? Please kindly unmute yourself and take an opening prayer, please. Mrs. Coco.
Actually, yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Mrs. Okay,
Coco,
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Our God and our King, we thank you for today. We give you praise for a one.
Ms. Coco, if you can hear me, I can see you.
Amen. Mrs. Coco, we couldn't hear you at some point in the prayer, but we know that God is heard. Okay. So,
Okay, so
but it's
sorry.
fine. No, it's
So
fine.
sorry, I muted myself.
It's very okay. We had at least you started the prayer, and we know that God heard you, and He has answered on our behalf. Thank you so much. So we would like to proceed. Before we call on the speakers, I would like to introduce our executive director, Mrs. Rhoda Perasubiti. So, Mr. Moses, kindly unmute so that she could give us a cherry welcome before we kick off, please.
Reduce it. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, ma. Yes, loud and clear.
Good morning. A warm welcome to everyone to our seminar, parent seminar today. We have two topics: internet parental guidance and the role of parents in curbing the menace of hyperactive children. I want to say a big thank you to all our parents and staff that have joined this meeting. And special thanks to the facilitators. We have Engineer Farola, who is a parent. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And my psychologist, Mrs. Olumene, for being here with us. I would nudge all parents and staff to be very attentive, because I believe that this seminar will be highly rewarding. It will close the knowledge gap that most of us have as parents and as educators and it will take our children to a better level. So I just want to get us running by going back to our moderator. So thank you all for joining, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Ma. We really appreciate that. Thank you. And we'd also like to, before we kick off, recognize the presence of our head teacher, Mr. Cephas Hansen, the head of nursery, Mrs. Ejimadu, and all our parents who have joined us this morning. Thank you so much. So I'll hand over to Mrs. Coco. Ms. Coco, are you there? Kindly unmute yourself as you.
Please, if you hear me, please confirm you can hear and see me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Mrs. Coco.
Okay,
Kindly
good
go
morning,
ahead. Thank
parents. Amiable Executive Director. Good morning, Mrs. Lynn, our moderator.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, management and teachers. It's a great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, who will be training and educating us on internet-related parental guidance. This is an important topic in recent times. And in the course of the training, you may have questions. Please feel free to go to the chat room and put your questions. And feel free to also send us your email address. Our speaker is a data scientist, a business analyst, an engineer with one of the multinational oil company. Please, with your favorite clap emoji, join me as I make welcome Engineer Adesola Farah Yola. Please, I want to see your emojis in the chat room. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome.
We do not take this opportunity for granted. The floor is yours. Please agree in making a co-host. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, apologies. I don't know what's happened to my video this morning, but I'm sharing my screen shortly so that I'll bring up my slide.
Very well said. Thank you. Mr. Moses, can you please pin his video, please?
Hello,
Okay,
sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
I don't know what happened.
Sir.
Okay. Please, can you enable screen sharing? I can't seem to able to share.
Kindly hold on, sir. Mr. Moses, can you make that happen, please? So you can share his screen. Thank you.
Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity to interact with fellow parents. My name is Adeshola Farela, as introduced. I'm a parent currently of 2 children in Dayspring. I got an invite to share the bit of knowledge I know about internet security, something that's been challenging a lot of parents, something we did not face when we were growing up. So I put together a couple of slides to have a quick discussion to see how we can share knowledge and also help to transfer knowledge to other parents. Okay, first of all, I'm not technically an IT professional. IT is a hobby for me. It's something I do on the side. I do have good knowledge about it, but I'm not technically an IT professional. My views and discussions here are about experience. I have children in the house. I've been trying to keep up the internet, so I've learned quite a lot in trying to do that. Any suggestion provided here, you can review and assess and consider any alternatives you also might have heard from other forums for your use. Also, like mentioned earlier, if you have other ideas, you can please drop in the chat box so that we can interact around those discussion points. Okay, why are we here? Basically, I need to take away this box. It's blocking part of my slide. Just a second. Okay, so the objective of this discussion is we want to be able to regulate access to the internet because of the harmful content out there at the moment, to protect our young children, to ensure they don't pick up bad manners or bad morals from what is now known as the World Wide Web or the internet. Also, in doing that, we also have to be able to create a sort of regulated access, because you and I agree and know that a child without internet capability at the moment will struggle when it decides to work. So we want to be able to give them access in a controlled manner, allow them complete their assignments in adverse and the rest, without being able to look at or do other things that are inappropriate for their age. Okay, so for the purpose of this discussion, it's more of a practical discussion. It was envisaged to be like an interaction in the hall, but we'll still try and make it work in an online forum. So what are the devices that we require for internet access for the children? Basically, you either have what they call a MiFi or a router. A few pictures you can see on the screen here. I'll just enable my pointer so that we can. Okay, so this is what we typically call a MiFi, the more portable ones. And this is what we call a router, the one that we have at home from different providers. Okay. Also, you would typically have an Android device owned by the parents. Android device vary from Samsung, Techno, Infinix, a wide array of devices. Now, I'll mention that Apple devices also have this functionality, but I will not be discussing that in this forum. One, because it's a little bit more complicated to set up, and two, to be frank, most people will not want to actually buy Apple devices for their children because they are expensive. So the focus of this discussion is around Android devices, which are more commonly available and more likely to be given to a child to do either assignments or recreational work. So there are two types of control that we can implement when it comes to internet access. And that's what I'll call maximum control. Maximum control in that if you have an Android device, you can actually totally control that device and give the child access to that device only when you want the child to do that. You can set things like bedtime. You can set duration on an app. You can say, okay, I want my child to have 10 minutes access to YouTube, 10 minutes access to email, 10 minutes access to Candy Crush, that kind of granular level of control is available to you. It's not a level of control, what I'll call limited control. We realize that most of the danger is actually in what they can access in the internet with the devices. The devices themselves are not actually dangerous. A typical laptop in your house is not dangerous for a child because what is there is probably some Word documents, some presentations, and some files. It is when that machine gets on the web that the danger comes. So there's a form of control where we can prevent access of that device to the internet, which is what I'll call limited control. So devices that fall in that category are laptops, PS4s, PlayStation 4s, and PlayStation 5s for parents that are suffering from this menace of online gaming. Like I mentioned earlier, bottom left here, Apple devices are also capable of being controlled. But like I said, I would not discuss much of that in this forum because of the complexities involved in setting up the Apple devices. So I'll go to the next slide. Now, for the limited control, like I mentioned earlier, you have what they call a router. Your router is a connection to the internet. That's what brings internet into your house. At the bottom of that router, there's a sticker on it. That sticker tells you what they call the IP address, internet protocol of that router. If you connect to that router with a machine and you put that IP address in the web browser, it will bring up what they call a management page. The default username and password for that device is at the bottom of the device. It is recommended you change it. Using that protocol, you can access the modem. What that does is that it allows you to see what is connected to the modem, how many laptops, how many phones, which television, which PS4 you will see. And I'll do a demonstration on my own router here to show you what I mean by this. So look at the bottom of your router, you will see a sticker. You will see the IP address for that router. You will see the default username and password. Once you put that address in a browser, Google Chrome or anything used to browse, it will bring up a page You will log in with that password and username, and then you'll be able to see the router details. Like I said, I'll demonstrate my router here, and then I'll show you. From that page, you will see all the devices, and you can choose which device you want to block. What that means is that you can allow Madam's phone, and you can block the PS4. You can block the television. You can block all the iPads in the house. And then you can only unblock them when you want them to use. For example, maybe on a weekend, maybe on a Saturday, maybe when they have an assignment. So that's the kind of control you have with that access to that router. Not to make it too technical, what really allows you to exercise that control is what's called a MAC address. And I'm only mentioning this so that people will understand. That address is unique. Two people do not have the same MAC address. It's like an NIN. So once you block a device, it's only that device you have blocked. And the person cannot go and change something on the phone and then be able to access the internet. It's not possible. The MAC address is hardwired into the device. Once you block that device on that router, that device will never be able to connect to the internet on that internet device. So that's the summary of that limited control I explained. This works for all devices, your laptops, PlayStations, televisions, phones, Apple devices, Android phones. It covers all of them. Once you block a device there, it will not be able to go on the internet. So this is a bit of what I just explained. This is an example of a MAC address. You can actually check on your devices there with you, check on your phones or your iPads. If you go to your settings, general, and somewhere around there, about, or if you search for Wi-Fi, you will see the MAC address of your device. If you have two phones, just for fun, check both of them. They will never be the same. And that unique address is what allows you to block a device from accessing the internet, like I mentioned. Now, the second level, which is much more controlled, is when you use Android devices. Now, to do this, you need a Gmail address for yourself and a Gmail address for your child. Google allows you to set up an address for your child, but you put it under supervision. There are internet forums where you can search for how this is done. It's not very difficult. Just create the address and then you link it to your own, and it becomes a supervised address. What that means is that if your child doesn't enter on that email, you get an email that so child has installed so thing, so child has, you get prompts. It's like a supervision. So that's what that does. So the family link is the name of the app. You can Google it. It's readily available in the Google Store. You install it on your device and install it on your child's device. Once you add your child as an account that can be supervised, you are now I'll show you a few screenshots of that. You are now the parent and like the manager of all the accounts. You can decide what each account can do. One or two people can be admins. You can make either the father or the mother the admin. But I know our mothers have soft spots for our children, so they surrender their phones a lot. So if that is the case, children of nowadays are very smart. They'll use madam's phone or daddy's phone, depending on how the issue is, to give themselves more control. So they are very sharp. They will study the challenge, but if you prevent access to your device, then they cannot change the supervision rules. They cannot, for example, increase their bedtime or increase their time on YouTube. But you have to protect access to your device to prevent that from happening. So there are all sorts of control. You can set age level, 3+, 7+, 9+, and the rest. You can define bedtime, like I mentioned. You can say this device cannot be used beyond 8 p.m. You can make it 7 p.m., 6 p.m. You can make it inaccessible till about 3 p.m. when they get back from school, or depending on whether they're on holiday or the rest. So you have that control. You can define when a device can be used. Outside that time, that device is practically useless. You can define how long you want them to stay on YouTube or Candy Crush or whatever they do that also occupies them. It could be intellectual development, it could be something. Any app installed on that phone can be controlled and can be set to the defined time. You can block the dangerous apps, Instagram, Facebook, and the rest, and they will not be able to see those apps on their device. That's a bit of the kind of control you have when you have Android devices and you set them up properly for supervision. So a few screenshots. This will have been maybe more interactive while in a room. I'll have loved to maybe give a parent access to my router, and then maybe I block you and then you see that you cannot go on the web. But it's not really a demerit. We can still talk through it. The first part, like I mentioned, which I'll call part 1, is when the device is working normally. What I mean is you have a tablet for the child, it's connected to the internet, they can use it to browse. Like I mentioned, I'll show you in the next bit of my router now. Once that device is connected, it's working fine. If you want to say this device should not work, then you just go to the router and just click block. That device is added to what is called a blacklist. And on that blacklist, any device they cannot browse. The other one I mentioned is the one with the Android device, like I said. You can lock the device, you can set your bedtime, you can limit access to the phone, you can grant access to the phone for 5 or 10 minutes for a particular purpose. Maybe they want to do a video call with grandma, you know, and all the rest. All that control is available to you. If you can see my cursor, this first picture here just shows you that on this device here, I've blocked Facebook, I've blocked Netflix. So these devices will not be available to the children. Also, you can trace where the device is, this bottom picture here. From your phone, you know where the device is, whether it's in motion, it's in transit, or it's somewhere in the house. You can try and make it ring, you can try and locate it. You have the ability. Also, perhaps if you don't have internet connection and you need to unlock the device, you can generate a temporary code on your own device, which you can use to unlock the phone. For example, here you can see this code. Once you go there and put this code, the phone will be unlocked. Maybe the phone lost internet connection, or the battery died or something. You won't be able to unlock it remotely. But with this code, you can unlock the device once you generate this code. The code is randomly generated, it's not static. What it means is that the code you use in the morning is not the code you get in the afternoon to unlock the same device. This bottom screen here shows you the family manager view. Like I mentioned, there will be 1 or 2 family managers. There's a maximum of 5 people in a family group. You can invite up to 5 people. 1 manager and 4 devices, or 2 managers and 3 devices, depending on your need in the family. That's what this view shows. This view here, where my cursor is, if you have been talking about, you can see this device is locked until 8 a.m. You can make emergency calls. You can also define numbers which child can call if the need arises. So they can still call you, but they cannot use the phone. You can see the bedtime schedule defined here, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. You can change this, like I said, to a granular level of 30 minutes. You can define as much control as you want. Bottom here shows that you can see that this device has 30 minutes allocated on WhatsApp. Like I said, probably maybe for a phone call with grandma to allow them to have that video call. And then after 30 minutes, that device will prevent access to WhatsApp. Just for example here, YouTube here has no control, but you can define the control in 30 minutes or 5 minutes or 15 minutes increments to also control that access. Last picture here shows you what the device looks like when it's locked. As you can see, it's fully locked. You can't do anything. The only thing you can do is go to parent access and put in that code that I mentioned here, and then you can access the phone. Irrespective of that, you cannot do anything with that device. It's practically locked until the next time when it's available to be used, either in the morning or in the afternoon, depending on what you have defined. So I've tried to keep it as practical and not too technical. In terms of what options you have, you can block devices at router levels on the devices themselves, permanent blocking. You can also use this method on Android devices to control access to your children's device and give them access when you like. I hope I've been able to give you an idea. It's not something you have to take in on the first day. You can practice it with one device. You can set it up, take your time, study it, make sure you know how it works before you now surrender the device to the child to use as the need arises. So that's it in terms of summary. I'll just quickly share my screen and show you my router page, show you a few of the devices on my blacklist, and then we can open for further interaction or discussions. Okay, please confirm you can still see my screen. Hello.
You can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Okay. So this is my MTN router page. This is the address at the bottom of my router. If I log in, you will see that if you go to the devices list here, I currently have 5 devices connected to my router, which are listed at the top there. And I have a couple of devices on my blacklist. These 4 devices, no matter what the children do, can never go on the internet on this router. This iPad, this laptop, this phone, and this Kindle tablet. Because this unique address, like I mentioned, has been used to block them. If I want to grant access to them for use, all I have to do is come here and do remove. And then it automatically gets added to the top list here. If I also want to block any device here, all I need to come here to do is just click on block, and this device will get added to the blacklist. I'm just going to block this first device here so you see this S10 here. I click block and see success. And that device automatically has shown up here as blocked. This device now will no longer be able to go on the internet until I remove it from the block list. So like I said, it's not really that complicated. It's just something you have to practice a few times, and then you'll be able to exercise that level of control. So I think I'll stop here. More of the discussions around interactions and not more technicality, because it's not really an IT forum, but it's just to show you what level of control you can exercise. Somebody also joked one time that the other level of control is to put up that router and then keep it in your wardrobe. Yes, that option is also there too, with what we call the route one method. Put up the router and keep it in your car or keep it in your wardrobe so that nobody can sneak behind your back to put it on. But indeed, if you need to have a router on for other reasons in your house, these options I've shown you is what you can consider to implement in your house. I've been able to share a piece of knowledge for you to be able to look at it in future and also see what you can implement in your house. So thanks a lot for your time, and I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate your wealth of knowledge. Just kindly drop your questions in the chat service, please. Kindly drop I can see Mrs. Alice George, your hand is up. Kindly drop your questions in the chat service, please. You can ask any questions as regards, internet usage for your children, how you can, help them to optimize their time on the internet, anything that's related, so that he can help us. That's why we're having this discussion. So if you have problems, you have issues, you have questions you need to ask, you can drop it in the chat service, please. Thank you, everyone.
No questions. Was it too high tech?
Hello, good morning. This is Commander Kalizi. If you permit me to speak, also permit me to stand on a existing press call here. Thank you so much for the lecture. It was very enlightening and very educative as well. I have a peculiar challenge. I wouldn't say I'm actually an illiterate to this particular lecture, but I have a challenge. If you look at, for instance,
Yeah, muted if you're still speaking.
yeah, good. All right. I found that the kids have that tendency to play with it, and they erase some of this data which you identified behind them, which are supposed to be the unique numbers or letters which are attached to the Wi-Fi. In that case, knowing fully well their systems are already attached to this, and I don't have those figures anymore, how do I access those figures so I can get them off or get to the page which you showed us where you have the blocked and removed numbers and letters as well, please? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Commander. I lost you a bit, but I think I get the gist of your question, so I'll attempt to answer. If you have access to your router, maybe for any reason your child has done something on your device which prevents you from accessing it, there's a reset button on the router, which you can use a safe office pin to reset that router to factory state. What that means is that the router becomes like default, as if you just bought it. Then the username and password becomes default, usually admin and something. You can now reconfigure that router from scratch the way you want it, and then go back and implement your controls. If you need help with that, normally these service providers, if you take your device there, they can help you do that and set it up for you again, as if you just bought it from them, and then you can go back and put your controls back. So I hope that's what you are trying to refer to, and I hope I
Yeah,
answered.
yes. I think you have about 80% of the answer, especially knowing that I can set it to default. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions? Any parents have any experiences with devices you want to share? It's an interactive discussion. Are there any peculiar things that children do that maybe you feel this is not covering? Let's discuss around it. I see a question from Fem in the chat box, so I'll read it. It says, thanks for the presentation. I'd like to ask, can the same type of control on the Android devices be applied to a laptop with a Microsoft OS? This is assuming the child doesn't have another device rather a laptop. So yes, like I mentioned, that minimal control method, which you can blacklist a device, is the level of control you have on a Microsoft device or a Mac device. Anything that is not Android, the maximum you can do is prevent access to the internet. And like I said, the biggest risk from those devices is not only the device itself, is that internet access. So once you can blacklist, you have some form of control and the child cannot view any inappropriate content. But for full control to devices, preventing too much gaming, too much screen time, the knowledge I've shared in this forum is around Android devices. I hope that really answers your question. Hello?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Farah. This is Alice Judge.
Yeah, good morning, Alice.
Yeah, I've been trying to speak. I think the host muted most of us, so I think I just got the right to unmute a few seconds ago. Good morning, parents, and thanks very much, Farah. I really do appreciate this session that you're having with us. The last few minutes, what you presented, shared with us, actually looks easy to just go through, but I don't know if I'm speaking for some parents. If you can make out time for us to have maybe like a physical session, it may not necessarily be in the school. People can reach out to you, so you can actually help physically to run us through. The last few minutes may seem easy, but trust me, we may struggle to do all the setup, and maybe we can talk to the providers and they could do it. But I would really appreciate if you can have a few minutes with us and just help us maybe for the first time set up, run us through exactly what you've done online here, but physically, so that it could be more easier to go through this process and then start it off immediately.
Okay, thanks, Alice. Yeah, well noted. We'll see how we can create a forum to interact physically, and I'm available to help for those that need help on this year. I see a question from Nina in the chat box. It says, what happens if you have multiple routers or ISPs at home? So you have to repeat this activity on each of the routers. Like I mentioned, your router is the gateway to the internet. If you have MTN, you have SpectraNet, and you block them on MTN, trust me, they'll find the SpectraNet modem and they will connect to it. So you have to repeat the activity on that, or you narrow down to one internet device in your house to allow that control to be within your hands. That's what I'll say to that question. Olufemi Adeyemi asked a question around, can blacklisting be timed, say 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.? No. Blacklisting is a permanent action. Okay, blacklisting is a permanent action on the router. Once you blacklist a device, like I mentioned, it will never be able to go on the internet until you remove it from the blacklist. And you need that for the laptops and the PS4s and the TVs where you cannot install software on them. That's just the way it works. The only timing you can emphasize or implement is on the Google method, like I mentioned, where you can define how long the child can connect. Okay, yeah, the Apple question, the question will come. Like I mentioned, yeah, there's a family link option with Apple. To be honest, I've not explored it because I've not given Apple devices to my children, but it does exist. It's the same philosophy. It's a little bit less straightforward, but yes, you can also put some form of control from your Apple iPhone or Apple iPad on an Apple device that you give to your child. But to be honest, I've not done that, so I didn't want to go into that discussion in this forum. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions, please? So we can move to the next speaker. Do you have any other challenges as regards children and their devices? This is a good time to have this discussion and seek help.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Please go ahead, sir. Yes,
Okay,
you have the
thank
floor,
you.
please. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the very informative presentation on this. But apart from the option of blocking some devices, phone, laptops, and all that, from access to the internet at peculiar times, could there also be like sites that one can actually block permanently on their phones or on their PCs to make sure that even when they're working or doing their homework, they cannot accidentally have access to those sites. For instance, I'm seeing an issue, for instance, on having like permanent blockage of some lines or some gadgets from access. Assuming you're not around, maybe for extended hours, and they really need to do their homework, and which is PC related or requires internet, and they don't come in before the time or maybe before their sleeping time, and it gets to the next day when they have to go to school without doing this homework. I mean, they can easily use it as an excuse for not doing their homework. They can go and tell their teacher their parent did not make the internet available. So are there really can we really extend this control also to sites indeed that can never have access to? You showed an example, in Facebook and Instagram. What of in Google and the rest? Is it possible maybe you can enlighten us on those areas as well? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. That's a wonderful question. So it's a little bit more complicated when you want to block web page, but it's possible. I'll give you an example. Most of us in our offices realize that at times you can't open some Yahoo pages and Gmail and the rest. What happens is somebody has blocked it on the server end, and then you cannot open that page, but you can still do your work in the office. So that level of control is available, but it's a little bit more complicated. You have to pay for special software on those laptops. You have to, imagine me trying to go into that in this first forum. It will create a lot of problems. I also don't use it at the moment, actually, because it's a paid service, but it's possible. You can install software on the Windows machine where you put specific web pages and say these pages will not open. But that's an advanced level cost, if I may use those words. The traditional method is put up the router or give somebody in the house access to give them the access when they need to do homework. Maybe possibly sitting with you in the same room as they're doing their homework. Once they are done, put that device back on the blacklist, because they are watching you, they're very smart. They will tell you they want to do advice, but if you leave the place, they will start doing YouTube. So that's the challenge we face at the moment, and then we all have to see how we can always manage it. So that would be my response.
I think we still have one parent that wants to ask a question. Mrs. Chama Mogul. I think I saw the emoji for raised hand. Please, can you kindly unmute her, please, Mr. Moses?
Okay, I wanted to ask, good morning, everyone. I wanted to ask,
to you.
It's, if you can work for every service provider, or is just limited to MTN Wi-Fi?
You can work for any device anywhere in the world has a unique address at the bottom of the device, a white label with an IP address. Anywhere you are in the world, any device you're connected to has that IP, and you can implement that control.
So in a situation whereby the child bypasses you and maybe buys data direct, how will you address that?
So even if the device has data, internet connectivity on it, your control is still implemented. That's for Google devices in this case. For laptops and the rest, if they find another means to go online, you have lost your control because your control is only on your router. But for the phone, even if there's mobile data on that phone, the moment you have implemented the controls from your own device, those settings reside on the phone. Let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say I put controls on my son's phone now and he goes to Lagos. The fact that I've set a bedtime on that device, that phone will lock at 8 p.m., even though I'm in Port Harcourt. Even if he connects to the hotel Wi-Fi or his mom's phone, at 8 p.m., that phone will lock. So that control is there in terms of timing. But for access to the internet, yes, if they connect to other routers, they will go online. But for Android devices, you will still have your control. They won't be able to install any apps you have not approved. They will not be able to open apps that you have restricted. And all those controls are still in place and bedtime will still be enforced.
Can this work for Apple devices?
Yeah, like I explained, yes, it can. It's a little bit more complicated because Apple setup is slightly more techy. And then, yeah, it can be done. I've dropped a link in the chat box for those that want to look into Apple, but I've not really been doing Apple, so I didn't want to go into that discussion in this forum.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any more questions, please?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Shola. My name is Chinwe Uche. And I would like to quickly ask, at the time you grant access, maybe for whatever number of minutes or period of time, is there a way to prevent unwanted pop-ups? So perhaps I block certain sites that I don't want, but what about those unknown sites that just grant random, maybe news headlines and those kinds of messages that are unsolicited, maybe through called through cookies and stuff? Is there any way to just block those kinds of pop-ups? I don't know if that's clear. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. A very good question too. So your pop-ups are a function of your history on your browser and also the cookies, like you mentioned, that you have granted access to in your browser. To remove that access, go to your browser settings. There's somewhere there where you can reset all your cookies and all your history. And that if you wipe out those cookies and history, the device no longer should pop up with those news headlines. And then whenever the page is open, always look at it. There's a banner that normally comes up. People don't look at it, just click OK at times. That banner is what grants the device access to your cookie history and causes those pop-ups. So resetting the pop-ups in your browser settings is the first step. And also not clicking OK when you open those browsers will prevent you from getting those pop-ups.
Okay, thank you.
I can see
hi. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. Yes, my name is Omonefe. Thank you so much for putting this together, and thanks, Shola, for the fantastic presentation. So just a follow-up question with the lady that spoke last. You answered the question in the context of a browser, but there are concerns I have specifically with regards to even non-browser related situations. So when my kids are on their tablets and they're using maybe a game, they're playing a game, for example, these days, a lot of ads pop up on the game itself, not on the browser. So you're not browsing on any browsers like Chrome or any of those kind of things. You're on a game, and then right in the middle of that, an ad pops up with another type of game, which might not necessarily be something you want your kids exposed to. So how would you manage that?
Yeah, another fantastic question. You have to block the game. There's no other control apart from blocking the main game. Even adults, they try to spam up with all sorts of adverts in between our normal internet experience. If you do not block the original game, there's no way you can control that. They call it an in-game ad. There's no control at that level. But you can block the main game. The main game they are playing that shows the ad can be blocked.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, can you
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My name is Mrs. Inyang. Please, I would like to know, because this process is very crucial, and if we're not using it if we're not doing it as you're taking us through the process, I see that there's going to be possibilities of people or me myself actually forgetting the processes. So I would like to suggest or ask if it is possible for us to have like a one-pager that just does like a step-by-step that says, okay, to block ads popping off from playing games or from these are the things you should do, and to block your device or different devices from your internet. These are the steps to follow, so that when we don't remember the process again, there's something that we can always refer to help us. I know as we do it more often, we'll probably get used to it, but while we are just starting, a little guide would be very, very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, great. That's a good suggestion. We'll work on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, ma'am. Kindly go ahead, please.
All right, thanks. Good morning, Shola. Thanks. This is Iso. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. For the adverts in YouTube, I also subscribe to premium, so I pay like 1,000 a month or so. Then the adverts don't come popping up. So you can also try that. So you're conscious of what your children go to, what sites they go to on YouTube. That can help also. All right, thanks.
Yeah, spot on. So thanks for reminding me about that. Yes, subscription to premium is a fantastic remedy for the ads. Thanks a lot for that suggestion. Maybe for those that don't understand, YouTube is normally free for everybody, but if you pay a small fee every month, you can define that you don't want to see ads, because they make money from the people putting the ads. So the only way to is unfortunate. The only way to stop seeing the ad is to not pay them that you don't want to see ads, and that also protects your children from seeing all sorts of inappropriate ads when they are watching any recommended video on YouTube. Okay, so I don't know if there are no other questions. Maybe we'll connect, we'll see. So the suggestions around trying a few demos is a good one. We'll try and find the right avenue. People can maybe bring 1 or 2 devices. We'll do a quick setup, and then they can run from there. And then we'll see any other avenues, how we can help each other in this journey that keeps changing, by the way, every day, to ensure that we can protect these children from any inappropriate content on the internet. So thanks everyone for your comments. I'm seeing the chat box. Are there any other questions, or I'll hand over back to the moderators?
Right, thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate this time out and all the discussions we've had. And I want to encourage parents, His number will be made available and his email address so that you can contact him. For now, we'll move to our next speaker. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate this. We'll move to Mrs. Erica Olimini. She is a clinical and educational counseling psychologist. She's a therapist who has specialty in psychiatry. She attends to people who have psychological issues, people who have disabilities, who need therapy. She attends to children, adolescents, as well as adults. And she has been an on-ground therapist here at Day Spring. She comes on Wednesdays to give us premium assistance with children with a few learning challenges and behavioral challenges. So we are so glad to have you here, Mrs. Erica. You're welcome. So you have the floor now.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lin. Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Olimini, and I'm a counseling psychologist and as well a clinical psychologist. I have a particular permanent place of work, but I consult here once in a week, and I'm always on ground when you call. So today, I want to talk about sharing. I want to talk about the role of parents in curbing the menace of hyperactivity in children. Well, for me, hyperactivity in children is a normal thing because it's also abnormal, because it's not all hyperactivity that is ADHD, but today we are going to put it down to ADHD. It's a disorder, a mental disorder. So, but I usually start with a story of a fine, handsome Danny. I'll start with the story and then we'll continue. Danny is a handsome 9-year-old boy, was referred to us because of his difficulties at school and at home. Danny had a great deal of energy and loved playing most sports, especially baseball. Academically, his work was adequate, although his teacher reported that his performance was diminishing and he believed he would do better if he paid more attention in class. Danny rarely spent more than few minutes in a task without some interaction. He would get up out of his seat, rifle through his desk, or constantly ask questions. His peers were frustrated with him because he was equally impulsive during their interactions. He never finished a game. And in sports, he tried to play all possible positions simultaneously. So at home, Danny was considered a handful. His room was in a constant mess because he became engaged in a game or activities only to drop it and initiate something else. Danny's parents reported that they often scolded him for not carrying out some task, although the reason seems to be that he forgot what he was doing rather than he deliberately tried to defy them. They also said that out of their own frustration, they sometimes grabbed him by the shoulder and yelled, "Slow down," because his hyperactivity drove them crazy. I'm sure we have some kind of Danny in our houses. So we now talk about what hyperactivity is all about. For me, I would say hyperactivity is a mental disorder. Yeah, it is caused above normal level of hyperactivity and destructive behaviors. Hyperactivity in children is characterized by reckless behavior and too much activities that stems from receiving a lack of sufficient attention. Yes, it can be the cause of hyperactivity because they lack attention. Such children are prone to never get tired. They can't focus or they have short time attention span in general. Well, hyperactivity in children results in poor academic performance in some cases, lack of socialization in some cases. Some use their own to interact very well with other children, to interact very well with the public and do very well. They have high self-esteem and all that. But some, because they are not being treated well, I think they don't get more of the attention they want. It can make them have some kind of antisocial behavior. In severe cases, even complete or withdrawal from participating in group activities, which is in turn can lead to depression, antisocial behaviors, frustration, and poor self-esteem. And this can also lead to, when they are growing up, can lead to taking some psychoactive drugs, substance use. About the disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I'll talk about the nature. Central features: inattentive, overactivity, and impulsive. And there is another one, is a subtype. I would say I just discovered one because last time I met a child and I went back home, I started reading and I saw a different thing. There are some ADHD that are very quiet, very quiet. They can sit in one place and then you can think that they are very, very quiet. They are paying attention, meanwhile they are not paying attention. It's another type of ADHD. So associated with numerous impairments, behavioral, cognitive, and social academic problems. And the symptoms begin by the age of 6 to 12 years old. 6 to 12 years old, yeah. A persistent pattern of inattention or hyperactivity impulsivity that I just mentioned, that refers with functioning or developmental as characterized by 1 and 2. This is coming from DSM-5 criteria for ADHD. Inattention, you can notice 6 or more of the symptoms I'll read to you. They fail to give close attention to details. Sorry. Let me share my slide with everyone. I can be seeing them. difficulty in completing a task. They lose things that are necessarily for task or activity. For example, they lose their pen, their books are always torn in their rooms, they are not organized, and so many things. And then they often distracted by a little extraneous stimuli, often forgetful in daily activity. They cannot. So the next one is the impulsivity. There are 6 symptoms or more, often taps hands or feet. You see them all the time, or they are tapping or they are looking this way, left and right and the back. They lift seat in situation when remaining seated is expected. They just stand up at any time, go out, the teachers will be calling them, sit down, or at home, people will be disturbing them. Sit down, and all that. They run about in situation when it is inappropriate. They are unable to play or engage in a leisure activity quietly. Like I said, in the first symptom, they don't usually have one game. They don't play one game. They don't engage in one activity. They often act as driven by a motive, which is true. They are always driven by motives. Often talk excessively in some cases. Then often answer before a question has been completed. Has difficult waiting for their turn. They often interrupt or intrude on others. Okay, and like I mentioned, severe cases present at from age 6 to 12. You can see them. But in some cases, children from 5 years can also be identified with having hyperactivity disorder. They are, but not really ADHD. What they have is hyperactivity, and then we can always call them or describe them as always on the go. They are always very active. Like I mentioned, that it's not all hyperactivity in children that are ADHD. And I'm sure you asked me the causes of this disorder when I mentioned that it's a mental disorder. The causes are unknown. Majority of the causes are unknown. Some of the causes are genetic. Some of the causes are maybe anxiety in children, or depression in children can cause ADHD, and then family stressors can also cause it. So these are the predisposing factors that can cause ADHD. The management of ADHD in children or hyperactivity in children. I would like to keep this to myself. The management of the hyperactivity. One of the management of hyperactivity is good sleep hygiene. Good sleep hygiene. Sometimes we don't usually ask our children to go and sleep in the afternoon because we don't have time for them. But they really need to sleep in the daytime. You can ask them to go and sleep in the daytime. Create a good sleep hygiene for them. Make a daily routine for them. Sometimes healthy diet, reduce processed food, juice, Coke, mineral, Fanta. You can get yogurt for them. Add vegetables to their food. And then fruits is very necessary. That is one way to manage them. And then you break mental activities into goals or tasks. Sometimes don't neglect them. When they say, daddy, 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 mommy, you say, talk to your mommy. Or when they say, mommy, 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 you say, talk to your daddy. Don't neglect them. Give them attention. Sometimes hyperactivity is a cry for attention. Avoid high expressed emotions like critical comments, negative comments, then work with their teacher, because the teachers suffer more when a child has hyperactivity as a lifestyle. So generally, the prognoses are not outgrown because it's a disorder. Sometimes you still see them in adults. Okay. I'm done. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Erica. Thank you. We really appreciate this time and all you have shared with us. We as a school, we've encountered children that are hyperactive and then managing them in class. We also want our parents to be aware of strategies they can employ to be able to manage them at home as well. So if you have questions, please kindly ask Mrs. Erica. If you have questions as regards the topic, hyperactivity, behavioral issues, you think she can be of help, please feel free to ask your questions, please.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay. Thank you, madam, for the presentation. It really came at the right time, but I have two challenge or confusion. Why? I don't know. How do we differentiate between normal hyperactivity and, let me use the, because I have 3 kids and really they are really hyperactive. You know, I guess it's like, oh, it's normal. They're children, so you can't really stop them from what they're doing. But the truth is, these children don't get tired. Even when I'm asking them to take a nap, you know, in the afternoon, it looks like it can never be achieved. So my question is, how do I differentiate between the hyperactivity and really abnormal?
Well, if they are still under the age of 5, you can still detect some kind of hyperactivity, or you can also detect ADHD, that is attention deficit, by, if they are 2 or 3, like you said, you can ask them to sit down. You will notice the one that will not sit down when you ask them to sit down for 5 minutes. They don't sit down more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes is the highest. They are always distracted. So your question should be, how do you manage them? Okay, you have to reduce sugar intake, processed food, preservatives, and then make a routine in the house, family routine. There should be a routine. And they go to sleep hygiene, like I said.
Okay, thank you. But I want to ask this question, you know, like the golden morn, because I know she likes it a lot. One likes fritzo. So saying I should reduce the intake of those kind of food.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Any other question?
Please, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Please ask your questions. This is an opportunity to, it may not necessarily be about your child, maybe a burning question that you need answers to as regards children, their behavior, their response to learning. I think this is a good time, so let's leverage on this opportunity and ask Mrs. Erica as many questions as possible with the time we have. Any other questions, please? You can send it through the chat box, or you can then ask to be unmuted, please. Okay, if you we have some hands up, so I'm going to unmute Mrs. Miriam Omeje. You have the floor, ma. Kindly speak.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, presenter. We truly appreciate. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, we truly appreciate Dayspring for putting this together. Okay, please, I would like to ask, I had a bit of network issue, so I would just like to ask a few questions. Concerning my daughter, I see sometimes we have this challenge with being able to focus for a long time. And though over time now, I would say compared to before, there's a reduction in her level of not being able to focus. You know, if she happens to be studying, you need to keep calling her back to what she's doing. For instance, maybe she's to copy a note or something. She tends to just like, should I say, be absent-minded. So I thought initially this had to do with just her thinking of something else. But with what you explained today now, I'm having a rethink concerning what my thoughts was about this actually. So basically, are there chances of them outgrowing this? Chances of them outgrowing not being able to focus or relax in a place for a while?
Well, like I said, there are some that are disorder, that's the ADHD ones. There are some that are not disorder, they can outgrow it, and some cannot outgrow it.
Okay, so please, for the ones that can be outgrown, what are the things we can put in place to help those children?
We can
I
engage,
know I heard, okay.
We can engage them in social skills. If they are the quiet ones, we engage them in social skills, or we engage them in some of the, where we can channel their energies or where they have interest in. Like for, you mentioned about your daughter, for girls, they can decide not to do the girls thing and do rather the boys things. So you can ask the girl the type of activity she would like to be engaged in, then constantly check on them and give them a lot of attention. And then that's how sometimes they are great. And find out if they are not depressed.
Okay, when we say depressed, can you tie a 6-year-old, 7-year-old child to be depressed?
Yeah, depression is genetic.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Welcome.
Okay, I'm going to unmute. I think there's another hand up.
Yeah.
Yep. Can I speak?
Please go ahead, sir.
All right. Good morning once again. I'm Commander UN Akalaji. Thank you, Madam Erika, for your lecture. It was educative and very enlightening as well. I also want to appreciate the last speaker who just asked questions. You just practically tapped from what I was about asking Madam Erika. But I have another question. Madam Erika, did you intentionally skip the aspect of the caretakers, since some of we parents are usually very busy and we leave our kids to the hands of nannies at home who probably don't coordinate them properly and give them the actual manners which we parents will want them to have? And in that case, aside the fact that we need to fire the nanny, what do we really need to do? Also on the aspect of the school as well, please, I would like you all to look into to enlighten us on steps you take to assist you with parents, also because we know you have bulk of the problem to manage. And We appreciate you for that as well. But we would like to know how you manage such challenges when you get to encounter them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I earlier mentioned that you should give them attention. Sometimes the caregivers are not the right people to give your child that kind of attention. And they know you usually come back late and they sometimes want to ask you questions. And we adults, we should know how to answer our questions when it's coming from a child. And then when they ask you a question, you say, no, go and ask Mary. Go and ask Mary, I'm coming. It makes the child, it's worse. And then sometimes these are caregivers, they use a lot of high expressed emotions, critical comments, negative ones. And then they also use abusive words on the children. So it's not really advisable to leave your child all through for a caregiver. Give them a little, even if it's just 2 minutes, 2 hours on Saturdays. You can't be working from Monday to Monday. Even if it's a weekend, just develop a routine within that 1 hour you have with the child. Develop a routine within a day that you have with the child so that there can be a kind of connection between the both of you. Okay, you said for the teachers or for the school?
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the question again? What will the teachers do?
Yeah, the teachers. Sorry, you done? Hello?
What? Yes, sir.
All right. My second question or in continuation was for the school. When you come across such challenges, I appreciate you for the fact that you have bulk of the challenges to yourself to manage while we are still in our places of work. Please, could you just highlight or let us know steps you intend taking or what you think is best for the child to be corrected? Because if we don't work, we definitely won't have the opportunity to have them in school as well. So we just definitely need to work.
Okay, when the teachers in class discover such child, sometimes they bring them to me. And when I find out, I do assessing, like a diagnosis kind of through observations. I can observe the child. And when I notice a disorder or a kind of disability in that child, I can come in and then do a kind of therapies for them. I do ABA therapy for them. I do cognitive behavioral therapy just to correct that particular behavior.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I can also see that someone asks just about the same question in the chat box. That how do we, if I'm not mistaken, how does the school manage hyperactive children during school hours? Really, as a school, we have different strategies we employ. Then if it's out of hand, then we can invite Mrs. Erica to take it up from there. Usually we teach them how to relax. We encourage hands-on learning. We diversify our teaching by using visuals. For the kinesthetic learners, we try to bring activities that will help them use their hands and then touch and feel and walk around and dance. For the visual learners, a lot of videos and we vary our teaching styles so that we can incorporate even the hyperactive children in the learning and teaching and learning process. We allow them to move around. There are some children when they get into that mood, we say, okay, you can step out for a bit, or you go do this, and give them roles that will make them to exert some energy. We teach them how to be useful and use the time appropriately. And we also have a reward system to make sure that they are relevant in the classroom, in as much as they have some hyperactivity going around them during teaching and learning period. So as a school, these and other strategies are what we employ to help these children to strike a balance during teaching and learning period. So at this point, I'll unmute Mr. or Mrs. Eromosele. So please, ma'am or sir, you have the floor now. Kali, ask your question.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning, madam, for the presentation. Thank you very much. My question is this. I wanted to ask for ADHD children over the years. I wanted to ask, how does this disorder affect their academics? In what area have you found strength in them? Probably maybe in my question is like, do they do well more in numeracy, or do they do more in maybe writing? I want to find out which area have you found them better. And like you said for ADHD children, sometimes it grows into adulthood. Even then it grows into adulthood from your presentation. I've seen a child who I think has the ADHD in secondary school, and I have noticed, what I noticed is that the child is, although he's a grown-up child, but he is, maybe the reasoning, the thinking is like a child of like 4 years. Sometimes the way he reasons is that part of. I want to find out if that's one of the symptoms of ADHD patient too.
One of the symptoms, their mental age is reduced. They have a low mental age, and then they can still behave like a baby, even when they are grown. And then for your first question you ask, how do we, you said, how do we manage, or please can you repeat the question, the first question you asked, please?
Okay, if I heard that correctly, she was asking how does it affect their academics?
Okay, okay.
Yes, please, yeah.
The inattention they have in class can affect their academic performance.
I'll unmute Mr. Henry Uday. So you have the floor, sir. Kindly speak.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Dayspring, for this, for organizing this program. I look forward to it. Thank you so much. So I want to ask a question in a child that locks up, like no matter whatever you do, if she doesn't want to pay attention, she will not pay attention. If she doesn't want to do something, she will not do it. So how do you manage such child? And when it is mixed with destroying things, spoiling things that are valuable to her and all that. So how do you manage that?
Madam Henry, that child may be suffering from autism. Not just the ADHD. The child may be suffering from autism. You have to scatter your schedule to manage them. You don't allow them this persistence. You don't allow them do whatever they want. Flog them if there is need for it. Scold them if there is need for it. And don't always give them what they ask for. That's the only way to manage them.
Okay. Thank you once again. I want to ask if parents are in copy or would be in copy whenever the school is trying to manage them, in case they note that the child has something like that, okay? If we're in copy, at least I can work with the child at home, because if you're using a a technique in school and it's working, and I'm not aware of it, okay? When she gets home, I might be struggling, you know, and nothing can be as frustrating as when you're putting effort and it looks like you're joking. It's not working. So I would like to know, okay, if my child, maybe the teacher has noted that this child has that kind of problem, can I be in copy? Tell me how you're managing it. So at home as well, I'm also working with her. Is it possible?
Yeah, when they identify such child, they notify the family immediately before I come in.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Hello, Mrs. Chinwe.
Good morning once again. I wanted to ask for a child that has ADHD. Wouldn't it be advisable maybe to use a special ed teacher for the child? I'm just asking. I don't know.
A special teacher for the child.
No, there are special ed teachers that help to bring out the best in them, help them to unleash their potentials and all that.
And then after the class with the teacher, what happened?
I'm just thinking, keeping the child where in an environment whereby the child might be seen as a nuisance, as someone that is distracting others, wouldn't it have a negative effect on the child?
It does. It can cause them antisocial behaviors. Like I said,
that's why I'm asking, you know, to give them the best, to be in the best environment and all that. Is there no better way to manage the situation?
Without the help of a therapist?
No. As per learning.
Yeah, they can improve, but only when the calming situation has been taken care of. So when we calm them, we have some special therapy we give to them, and then we teach them behavioral skills, and then we now engage them at home, engage them in school, make sure they don't have that space to play.
I'm just thinking, a teacher that has maybe like 15 children in a class and has 2 with ADHD, how will that teacher cope?
They have a way of doing it. We work with them, so they have a way of keeping them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Hello, Choma.
Yes, please.
Listening.
No, I'm true.
Okay.
Hello, morning, please. I'm Monica, sorry. I answered a question before. My question was not answered. That was what sorry, the question I asked was, in which area have you found ADHD children? Which area do you find them doing better? In numeracy, in writing, that's my specific, in terms of academics. Are there special areas they are good at? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Well, in their handwriting, you can only work on that with you sitting down, telling them, teaching them how to do handwriting. And then you can employ a teacher. It's possible you employ somebody that would be doing that for the child. And then if you engage them back to back, learning back to back from school, home. Any chance they have to play, they don't have to channel their energy with too much play. They have to put it back to academic work. They improve a lot. We've seen some like that.
Okay, ma, has your question be answered? Okay, so can we move to the next speaker? Well, as a school, when we find out, we've worked with several children that have these learning challenges. Some of them are quite smart. Some are very smart, and they do well academically, but behaviorally they have issues. And there's some that they are very good in math. I know, Ms. Erica, you know the terms. There are some that are scared of numbers. Yeah, there are some that have issues with writing. They don't want to write, but they up there, they know what they want to do, but to put it down is a problem. So I think there are different terms for different learning disabilities that may be associated with the crux of the matter. However, when it's out of hand, sometimes we get shadows to work with the children. We already have some on ground. They have a special person working with them so that they don't distract the whole class. But we also encourage inclusive education. So we do not want to segregate them. We want to work with them. We're also teaching the other children how to, appreciate other people, learn from other people, and then these are the bedrocks of building a community of inclusiveness. So I'll move to the next speaker, Mrs. Akokota Faith. So kindly speak now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my question is based on the last response you gave. So Mrs. Erica gave. So I wanted to ask, since what measures do you take for children who lack ADHD children who lack?
Are you there? We can't hear you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, what measure do you take? What do you do to enhance the learning challenge of these ADHD children? Because yeah, there are kids who are very slow in as much as they are very active in learning. So what activity do you use? Because they are active, they want to do things, they are all over the place. So what activity do you use to actually get them engaged with their studies, their learning, to strengthen their learning ability while playing too?
Well, with your question, I'm not sure you're talking about the ADHD. There are children who have learning disabilities. So this is a two different things. They have dyslexia, they have dyscalculia and all that. There are children who have only ADHD and they are very smart. The ADHD children can decide not to write. They don't want to write. They don't want to do anything that has to do with book. But they are very smart. They can answer all your questions. But the ones that have learning disabilities, sometimes they don't even know anything. The only thing they know is they want to play. So there is still different things. The one that has ADHD and the one that has learning disabilities. So which one are you talking about? Mrs. Lynn, please unmute her.
Oh, okay. So sorry. Ma'am, can you kindly unmute yourself? I'm trying to unmute you from this end. Okay.
Go ahead, Mrs. Gates. Unmute.
I just did.
Okay.
Can you kindly unmute?
I'll be.
Okay, yeah, good.
Okay, hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you for this opportunity and the lessons being learned here. But I have a question concerning this topic. And my question is, are there medical tests or procedures to do before confirming for sure that your child is autistic or has ADHD? Because I'm just thinking, just by observation may not be enough. I think so. So I just want to find out there are medical procedures to follow to confirm to be sure.
In mental health, they hardly use machines. There is no machine for diagnosis. They use careful observations, and then there are techniques we use to detect if a child has a kind of disorder or not.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Miss Erica, there's a question here for you in the chat box. It says, good morning, madam. Please, can hyperactive children make hyperactivity in a child make them bully other children?
Yes.
Okay. So how can we help them to curb it, like bullying other children?
You can restrict them, teach them some kind of values, like teach them not to beat people, not to bully people, and the disadvantages of bullying people. You can also do that.
All right, thank you so much. So I want to unmute Commander Akalize.
Thank you. Madam Erica, I just wanted to get a clarification of one of your answers, which you were attending to, or you attended to, concerning the question coming from one of the beautiful parents here. It's in respect to the autistic case as in regards to, or vis-a-vis the ADHD, what you're talking about. And you made mention of flogging them. So I want to be clear if that was just a discourse or just to get along with your discourse, or it's what you actually are prescribing for a kid with such challenge, because in my opinion, I don't, it's that a prescribed way of solving that. And is that what you're going to do in school?
No, flogging them, like saying flogging them doesn't necessarily mean you beat them, you flog them. There are ways you can also flog them, even with your own, verbally you can flog them. So it's not hitting them. Yeah. You can tell them, sit down. If you stand up from there, I will. As a child, they will listen and respect that.
Okay. All right, but I want to believe you are not making use of the word flogging, right?
No. Sorry.
It's all right. Just wanted to clarify this because my kids, they're in your hands, and I should be concerned when you talk about flogging, because I don't flog my kids. And if my kid is having a challenge, I don't expect that to come from the school, right?
I don't flog either, but I can tell them I'll flog you without even flogging them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, thank you very much. Once again, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Ms. Erica, for the presentation. Please, I just want to make reference to the answer to one of the questions here about that's the children that have this HDD syndrome, if they are kind of if they have the likelihood of bullying others children, none of that sit with them.
Yeah.
For which you answer to the affirmative. So I'm trying to, so I'm putting this question to DIGS. Please, what defenses do you have around these children? Because it then means that the presence of these children in the class can impact others with them. So what defenses does the school have then, in protecting other students that learn with these children? Please, what are the kind of controls around to make sure that the children that learn along with them are safe? Thank you.
Okay, in schools, I think they usually have.
I don't know if I was heard.
No. Mrs. Lee, can you please answer the question?
Okay, so if I got you correctly, you asked what measures we put in place to ensure that these children do not attack their classmates. And they're not necessarily violent in a particular way that will cause harm to their classmates. Mrs. Erica, if I'm correct, hyperactivity doesn't mean they are violent, they tear things down or hit people. It's not always the case, just regular misbehavior from time to time. But of course, yes, we have ground rules, we have class rules, we have a disciplinary committee. When it's above what the teacher can handle, they move it to the disciplinary committee, which is made up of the management staff. Thereafter, we call the conference with the parents, and then we take it up from there. We also have other mechanisms and other measures. We even have what we introduced some time back, and we have to bring it back because it was effective, the label uniform. We even had to enlighten parents during the feedback party that if these behavioral issues go out of hand, we are going to take other measures which the parents should be aware of so that it won't come as a surprise. So we have strategies that we use to curb misbehavior in class, but sincerely, we haven't had such cases that they are so violent that other children are in danger. Most cases, we talk to them, they understand, they follow the class rules, repetitive measures to ensure that they absorb what we are talking about. There are other things. We sometimes deprive them of playtime. There are other methods we use to curb their excesses, but it's not like it's so dangerous that they need to be caged or taken away to somewhere because other children are in danger. It hasn't gotten to that yet. And before it gets to that level, if we have such situations, we would call in a therapy before it escalates to that level. So I hope I've been able to answer your questions.
Surely, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Unmute Mrs. Julian. Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Good day. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Talking about just like what you said, that maybe sometimes we could threaten the kids and say if you don't sit down, I'm going to, and then you stopped there. To me, I think if you keep threatening these kids, at a point, they'll get used to it and they will not be scared again. So are you now saying we should go and use the cane and flog? Because if you keep saying, sit down, if you don't sit down, you stop there. At a point, they'll know that you're not going to do anything again. And they'll go back to the bad behavior because they know you're just threatening them. You're not going to carry out your words. So what do we do?
Okay, there are other measures you can take. There are some little punishments you can give regarding their age. Age matters a lot. You can give them some punishments according to age.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, there's Chama Ome. Okay. Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for all the presentations and all that. I'm enjoying it. Okay, what I want to, I want to ask a question or something. I've noticed something with some children, and using my own son who is in a orchid now as an example. Sometimes when we go medically to the way some children behave, I will say sometimes when we notice some things, or when the school notices some things, I didn't know that Dayspring had a therapist like this, because I even asked my son, do you know her? And he was like, no. I would have gone to her maybe to talk, but I think it's too late now because he will be graduating soon, okay? So now my son fell down some weeks back. So we went to the hospital and we were advised to do MRI test and all the tests to see there's no problem in the brain. So from the MRI test we did, we now saw the doctor was saying, we are still on it. I'm still going to go back next week, but we are seeing that his brain, they said that his brain is smaller than his age. And we've been on this for some time now, that his brain is smaller than his age. And unfortunately, he was there when the doctor was telling me all this. So he was now like, Mommy, do you think this brain thing that they say is smaller than his age, maybe that's what causes him that he forgets a lot? That when they teach him something, he forgets it soon. Okay, now we had to go and do a bone age test. He is 11 now, but from the bone age test, his bone is saying that he is 7 years old, going to 8 years old. Okay, so sometimes, we in the house here, they come back, they do their homeworks and all that thing. But in school, sometimes when the teachers notice that maybe this child is not keeping up to studies or maybe improving in class, I think sometimes we can go back to maybe see a therapist or to go back and see a neurologist to check whether medically the child is okay. As I said, I didn't know there was a therapist. I would have loved to meet with you. I would have loved to talk to you. I try talking to the class teacher sometimes during exams, like to encourage him sometimes, because sometimes he has gone through a lot actually. And sometimes when he feels that it's because of the challenge he's going through, that's why maybe he's not doing excellently well in school and all that. So I think sometimes when the school notices this, they shouldn't put it that maybe this child is not intelligent enough, or this child doesn't. At least the school can take it back, calling the parents, calling a therapist. Let us see what is wrong, because his age and his bone age, they don't tally. And now we just found out some weeks back that his brain is smaller than his, that is not the size that is meant to be. So now we're going to see more and more doctors concerning this. So that's where I wanted to come in. Sometimes it's not about scolding the child. That child might be going through something we don't know. Okay, if it wasn't the fault he had, we wouldn't have known now that his brain is smaller than his age. So this kind of things, I think the school works with parents. The ones we notice here, we might be flogging the child thinking that you don't want to understand, you don't want to learn, not knowing that the child, there's something going on actually, and that we need to take care of before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Well, sometimes we usually ask the parent to add a little of psychiatric medication, but most of them refuse that it's a psychiatric. They feel that their child is sick and all that. Some of the psychiatric medications can actually help the child to improve in whichever way they are having challenges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? So we can wrap it up. Any more questions, please? Okay, at this point, would like to call it a day. We want to thank all our parents. Miss Erica is in the school on Wednesday, so you can contact her if you need to discuss further about your child or issues that surrounds behavioral or that may need therapy. She's available for that on Wednesdays. And also Mr. Farrell Viola, if you need to contact him, you can meet admin or you can send a private message. We'll send the contacts to you. So at this point, we want to thank all our parents. I hope we've learned something new today. At Dayspring, we're always on a journey of continuous improvement, and we want to carry all our parents along. So I want to thank every one of you that made our time to join us today, all our parents. I also want to recognize the presence of our PTF chairperson, Mrs. Nina Obikudo, and every other parent that made our time here. We really appreciate you. And we hope that we'll have these sessions from time to time so that we can learn, unlearn, and relearn, and then for the betterment of our children. And I think at this point, Mrs. Coco, are you there? I'll invite Mrs. Coco to give the vote of thanks, and we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all our parents. Thank you, our executive director. Thank you, Mr. Hansen. Thank you, Mr. Moses, too. Thank you, Mr. Moses, for being on the handles. Thank you, everyone. We truly appreciate you. Over to you, Mrs. Coco.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lynn. You've done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll begin by appreciating God Almighty for making this a great success. And I would like to also thank our guest speakers, Engineer Adeshola Farayola and Mrs. Erica, for gracing our crucial work and sharing with us your wealth of knowledge. It's quite enlightening and insightful. Thank you so much. I also like to appreciate our executive director for making this a great success, for making this a reality. Thank you so much, ma'am. We appreciate you. And I will not forget to thank our dedicated parents who have turned up in their numbers. Thank you so much for all your contribution and active participation. We thank you so much. To all our staff who are here with us, we say thank you. Do have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. See you all on Monday by God's grace. Bye.
Bye. So remember, we have tests on Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. We have exams coming up on Friday of next week. We have a public holiday on Monday, the 11th. Then we continue with the exams. Please be abreast with the school calendar. We send it from time to time. And also try to interact with the class teacher through the homework diary. If you have issues, our numbers, our offices are always open. You're always welcome to drop by so we can discuss as regards our children. Thank you so much and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.
Bye.
Welcome to Dayspring Infant and Junior School, a first-class Cambridge International School in Port Harcourt, River State, Nigeria, West Africa.
Dayspring Infants and Junior School is a co-educational, independent nursery and primary school established in the year 2005. In Dayspring, we have simple passion in helping your child achieve more. The school has highly qualified and dedicated staff who believe that the work we're doing is very, very important. We're dedicated in helping your child achieving and developing his or her potentials. So come along with me as I dazzle your eyes around the beauty of Dayspring Infants and Junior School.
Dayspring Infant and Junior School, our vision is academic excellence, moral excellence, and creativity, thereby developing successful learners, confident individuals, effective contributors, and responsible global citizens.
Our mission is to provide an excellent world-class 21st century education in Africa using highly trained, motivated, dedicated professionals in state-of-the-art facilities. Join me as we take a tour around playground for a fun-filled experience and a dive in our exquisite swimming pool.
Dayspring Infant and Junior School has a well-equipped standard ICT laboratory. Dayspring Infant and Junior School has a sophisticated science laboratory for child-friendly experiments.
Responsibility, resilience, selfless service, love and kindness.
Dayspring, may your flag forever fly high. Welcome to Dayspring Infant and Junior School, a first-class Cambridge International School in Port Harcourt, River State, Nigeria, West Africa.
Dayspring Infant and Junior School is a co-educational, independent nursery and primary school established in the year 2005. In Dayspring, we have simple passion in helping your child achieve more. The school has highly qualified and dedicated staff who believe that the work we're doing is very, very important. We're dedicated in helping your child achieving and developing his or her potentials. So come along with me as I dazzle your eyes around the beauty of Dayspring Infant and Junior School.
Dayspring Infant and Junior School, our vision is academic excellence, moral excellence, and creativity, thereby developing successful learners, confident individuals, effective contributors, and responsible global citizens.
Our mission is to provide an excellent, world-class 21st century education in Africa using highly trained, motivated, dedicated professionals in state-of-the-art facilities. Join me as we take a tour around. Come join me at the playground for a fun-filled experience and a dive in our exquisite swimming pool.
Dayspring Infant and Junior School has a well-equipped standard ICT laboratory. Dayspring Infant and Junior School has a sophisticated science laboratory for child-friendly experiments.
At Dayspring Infant and Junior School, we aim at raising children with moral excellence. All core values are pride, courage, honesty, hard work, responsibility, resilience, selfless service, love and kindness.
Dayspring, may your flag forever fly high.